Hi, this is going to be a long video, so I have to jump right into it. I'll put the questions in the drop down. Number one, the reasoning behind telling a woman she shouldn't sexualize herself by going into pornography. Isn't that the same reasoning behind telling a woman not to go outside with a burqa because she's sexualizing herself? So that is almost identical to question 3. And question 3 brings out how is this not just blaming the victim, if that, and she phrases it like pornography is responsible for the objectification of women and therefore leads to rape, just like that. And how is that different from blaming the victim, saying that they shouldn't participate in that? Okay, so many ways to answer this. My material is way longer than 15 minutes. First of all, we've lost the plot. Women have been relegated to particular roles, and we are viewed more as roles and personas than we are our authentic selves. It's not acceptable for us to express our authentic selves. We're roles. A couple of the roles we have are mother and or a sexual person. So throughout history, there's been a 2-lane highway that patriarchy has set up, where you're the family girl or you're the whore. And progress for feminism, like baby steps, is being able to merge that and saying, hey, look at me, I can be a sexy mom, and people are like, wow, we've come a long way, baby. Yeah, so it's still sex, it's still a role, it's still extremely limiting. So women are human beings that have been only allowed to flourish under a role or persona. Authentic selves are really discriminated. It's just like, don't even show your authentic self, and that if you do ever come up with some authenticity, that better be expressed and bloom through the flower of sexuality or doing some kind of role. Now, we all have roles. Men have roles too. But with women, we have this extreme situation that we're in. And you could talk about, people like to discuss the origins of that. Sometimes they like to discuss the origins of it to give the excuse that it's inevitable and natural, but that makes no sense. And I think most people that are listening to this conversation aren't interested in the biological excuses that you're just inferior, or you have to make babies so you get to be discriminated. I don't think any of us really understand excuses for degrading, abusing, or discriminating. We don't buy into that as this particular group on YouTube, so I don't have to spend too much time there. Sorry, it's really hot. So, but there are I have to bring it up because there are consequences to being in a group that is only allowed to express roles, limited personality characteristics, because when you step outside of that social burqa, we have one. You can think of it as a burqa, what women are expected to do. When you step outside of that, it's very dangerous. From all angles, you can get just criticized, right? You can get not accepted. You could actually be degraded and abused. Okay, and this is tough for women. So some women will fit right into roles. They'll fit right in, and that's fine. But there's always this, throughout history, even women that have fit into their roles quite nicely. I like to talk about my grandmother as an example, but I don't think I have time. She did very well with the female roles. There was this underlying seed, I think of the lead character of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf too, and she played her role, but just was like a caged animal that abused her husband because she you know, in another time period, she would have been working at the college. She would have had a high position. She wouldn't have had to live vicariously through her husband and like get irritated with everything that he does or doesn't do career-wise, you know. Anyway, so feminist analysis, of course, analyzes those particular roles. Now, pornography is extremely problematic on almost every level, through many different lenses. And so a lot of times those get conflated, because you can actually go into it thinking very pragmatically, like, look, I'm for pornography, but it is really done poorly and people are hurt by this. But you could definitely give the feminist analysis to it that it is not good for women. So if you tell a woman, let's say you're standing around telling people what to do, because that's what you do, because you're a feminist, and you take away people's freedoms by talking about stuff that people don't want to think about. It's so oppressive. Anyway, so you're telling these women, please don't contribute to a system that limits roles for women or paints you in such a bad light. The example that's been given in the past are minstrel shows for black people. The racist shows where they were just making fun of the black people, but they participated in it, you know. And the people that participated in it, that was their money. They were good sports, maybe happy people. Maybe they would be like, I like doing this. This is great. I get to sing. I get to dance. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, but it was wrong. Period. It was the wrong thing to do. Anyway, so they have the right to do that, but people have the right to analyze and criticize it. So your question 1 and 3 are, they have to go together. They are together. Like 3 is an elaboration of 1. So in no way is this a kind of, if the model is not, please don't go into pornography, that's A, or B, men will do B. Don't do A because men will do B. Men are not the issue here. Or what men will do is not the issue here. So what you're saying is somewhere, somehow, some feminist has said to you that this is causing men to do things, and that is why women shouldn't be in it. Not that it has anything to do with the fact that it could be degrading to them, that it could be degrading to women in a general sense, the way that women are portrayed in a general sense. But there's a lot of issues with pornography, because in the real world, okay, there's the theoretical analysis, but also in the real world, there are very real world abuses, and they're extreme. I have never been satisfied that you or anybody in your group knows what that is, or has ever looked it up, or would ever talk about it. So that's a problem right there. And the subject matter is overwhelming. You know, prostitutes are encouraged and allowed to use condoms. So the bottom of the barrel prostitution is going into a situation where, you know, not only are you not going to use them, for the most part, all pornography is different. So yeah, you're going to have condom use in some, but it's pretty risky. It's pretty dangerous. But they promote that. It's not like a brothel, you know. So there's so many things to talk about with pornography that are degrading to women. So just like with the meat industry, there are so many things that go on with the meat industry. People will say, why don't you stop eating meat? You know, why don't you stop contributing to the system that we're discussing? It's not stop eating meat because you're trying to somehow some other person is going to do something bad. Or if you look at the situation with the burqas, okay, I'm gonna turn this around to show you why you're just wrong in your question. Okay, if you look at the situation with the burqas, and you know that there's this entire oppressive system on women, okay, it means they're being controlled. It actually, burqas contribute to a rape culture, okay? And here's why. Because human beings are crappy, men and women, and that they always see something every day that they expect. As soon as somebody's not doing that, they start freaking out. They're going to abuse them. These women that don't want to wear the burqas, they're the victims of sexual assault, etc. So you know that, right? So that actually exacerbates rape culture, that type of thing. That those limited little burqa systems really contributes to a rape culture. But who's responsible? The rapists, not the people wearing the burqas. And it's the system of having the constant expectation that that person will always do that and they have to do that. You know, that's the mind phenomenon there. So if you were to say to that woman, you know what? Let's stop wearing them. Stop wearing those. Now, I am not for banning the burqa, and I don't want to distract you. What we're doing is talking about the reasoning behind what someone might say. Because there are some people that believe in banning the burqa. I don't. Okay? But is the reasoning behind banning the burqa, is the reasoning because this guy might rape you. So you're responsible for contributing to rape culture. You're blaming them, right? Are you blaming the burqa wearer? Or do you realize she's part of a system that she might want to rebel against? And certainly, and maybe you're thinking that people just aren't aware. They are blaming the victim, but they're not aware, and you're going to be the one to point it out. But they're not doing that in any way you turn it. Another thing is, it's highly questionable that I'm sure that feminists think it's a bad idea when women participate in these things. But that isn't the focus, you know? That isn't the focus. Now, what I worry about with women going into porn is that there's no informed consent. You can't possibly be informed about what's going to go on there. It's too much to inform. I mean, you just don't know what you're getting into. So, and Monica Foster was writing a book, How to Get Into Porn, and she's an award-winning porn actress, and she was going to have to sell her book. She wrote the whole thing, How to Get Into Porn, something like that. And she's not comfortable with it anymore because it does tell people, you know, what to look for and how to avoid certain downfalls, meaning there is a way you have to navigate that business. But she is now like completely anti-porn more than I am now. Okay? And she was an award-winning porn actress. I mean, she's still in the business. She does webcam shows because she's trying to transition out. So the reason behind the suggestion that a woman might not want to work in the industry comes from a lot of pragmatic advice, but also comes from not wanting to participate in your own oppression. So if you don't want to participate in a system that oppresses you or participate in your own oppression, right? That is more like telling someone not to wear the burqa. Right? It's more like a ban the burqa position, because that's a social burqa that we're in, this two-lane highway that patriarchy has set up, where we can only have a sexual role and persona. And do you know, even that sexual role or persona is so limited. It's not even authentically, it has to do with the market and capitalist systems, you know. It doesn't have to do with what the performers want, or maybe even the writers do on their own. You know, it has to do with the market. So it's not even saying don't express your authentic sexual self either, because if people were expressing their authentic sexual selves in pornography, there would be in a large range of erotic material available, including, you know, some really hot stuff for women. And I know people will argue and say that there is, but that's like trying to find an indie film in Hollywood, you know, and you can find them, but it's not what drives Hollywood.